Hi everybody, Robin here at Toadstool Tarot and welcome back. Today I am responding to a hashtag challenge from Simon at the Hermit's Cave called All About Tarot 2022. Wanted to make sure I got that right. I've written down the questions, hopefully to make it easier on me. First question is, what was your first tarot and how did you encounter it? It was not this version, but the RWS Rider-Waite-Smith tarot that I encountered on my first home away from home. I was subletting an apartment during the summer, and it was in New Hope, Pennsylvania, which is a sort of an artsy hippie kind of little town full of boutiques and so forth. And there was a head shop at the end of one street right near the bridge, and they had all manner of, psychedelic paraphernalia, posters, black lights, incense, beaded curtains, tie-dyed materials, and tarot cards. I think that's where I first saw tarot cards, and I was intrigued by what I saw there. I actually can't remember if the first deck I got was the Atea, the J.J. Swiss, or the Rider-Waite-Smith. It's so long ago, and I think those were about the only three available at the time. But the one that feels like the strongest connection is the Rider-Waite-Smith, so I'm going to guess it was that. I got it and didn't relate to it for a number of years because I figured, well, you open this box of images on cards and you look at the instruction manual. It was a little white book inside, and I read the little white book and it didn't make any sense to me at all. Each card had 5 or 6 key words, and the key words were not synonyms. They were sometimes antonyms, and I'm not even just talking about the upright or the reversed meanings. Some of the upright card meanings didn't make sense to me together. So I put it aside, came back to it half a dozen years later, thought I'd give it another try. Nope, not there yet. Did that about 3 times, about 18, 20 years later. Finally, I think I did go out and buy the A.E. Waite book, and somewhere right in the beginning, it mentioned that the true meaning of the tarot, or the true way to read the tarot, is the images, or the symbols in the images, or something along that line. And I thought, okay, I'm not even going to try to do it right. I'm just going to throw the book aside and see what I can pull out of these images. So I started doing that, and then I started hearing from other people and picking up other tarot books where people were affirming the notion that there is no right or wrong way to read the tarot, and trying to see if there was some sort of consensus between different opinions over images in a card, because I was seeing images all around me in my world, and I was thinking, okay, there's symbols all around us, and what do they mean? And people aren't always told what they mean, but we arrive at some sort of consensus when we look at these symbols or these images. And so, you're going to have maybe 20% out there that have really round-the-bend interpretations of symbols. But if 80% of the population views a symbol a certain way and agrees that that's the way it's interpreted, then I pretty much sense that if that goes along with my view of it too, then I'm right in interpreting it that way. So that's what I did, and I've been developing my skills at tarot ever since. I had been trying to buy more tarot books and guidebooks and looking to see what I could learn from those, and didn't really loosen up until I saw the Enrique Enriquez movie Tarology, which gave me a whole new vista of ways to look at images, not just in the cards, but all around us in our world. And it was very liberating. So that really changed my view, and I really kind of got into like open readings of cards and sort of breaking traditional methods, of learning. Number 2, your last deck, how your tastes have changed. My last deck actually was a deck I no longer own. It was the Serpent and the Peacock. I was looking for traditional art collage from sort of historic paintings. And when I got it, there were elements about it I wasn't happy with. There wasn't the clarity there that I was looking for. Just little minor things didn't gel with me. So I actually sold it to a friend, and now it has a very loving home, which I feel very good about. But what it did do is it rekindled my love of a deck in the same vein, which was Cat Black's Golden Tarot, which for me is historic art perfection and collage art perfection. It is so well done. It's beautifully colored. The images are familiar looking medieval or Renaissance images, yet none of them are readily identifiable. The images were chosen from lesser known paintings, and so you don't have that connection with, like, oh, that's the Mona Lisa, or something like that. You have images that look familiar. You might even be able to identify the artist, but they're not ones that you would likely have seen before. So anyway, the Serpent and the Peacock did a great thing, actually. It made me reappreciate the Golden Tarot by Cat Black. The deck I had last deck I had purchased before that was the Essential Tarot. And this one, you can see a walkthrough on my channel. This one is, which I guess I wasn't that familiar with. It is a pip-related deck, sort of a non-scenic pip deck, even though there are sort of almost scenes on pip cards. But the majors are nice, and I particularly like stylized artwork, and these have nice, bright, cheery colors, and the art is stylized, and I like the style of the art. It looks sort of old-fashioned illustration. And I would say that my art preferences haven't changed that much. I still look for color and beauty in decks. I tend to look for images that are uplifting rather than dark and difficult. And I like style over skill. I mean, you could be an academically perfect artist in terms of rendering a human figure, but I would prefer just that the figure be identifiable as a figure, and I don't really care how abstract it is, as long as it has the stylistic feel of that particular artist, that it has a sort of a singularity in their approach to the deck. Number 3, why tarot? Why tarot? For me, tarot is a way of talking to yourself without talking to yourself. What I mean by that is to keep yourself from crazily wandering around muttering out loud to yourself. It's a way to have an internal dialogue with yourself. And it is like an alternative to talking to a therapist or a priest or even a close friend. This is like a very secret, private confidant, and it will challenge things in yourself that you may not have considered. I think that's sort of the whole purpose of tarot, to give you other options. And just different ways of looking at things and opening you up to considering things you hadn't. Don't go by first assumptions. Be more considered in your thought process about moving forward on any particular issue, particularly ones that you are a little clouded about or uncertain about. It's a good clarifier. Tarot pet peeves, number 4. Tarot pet peeves, for me, it's, I guess it's mostly formatting, like card stock and card size, things that are uncomfortable to handle. I think a deck needs to be something you enjoy, not just mentally, emotionally, but physically as well. You need to enjoy handling a deck. And other tarot pet peeves, overuse of gilding and flashy sort of approaches to marketing. Oracle cards. I used to like some oracle cards, but for me, it's very difficult to find oracle cards that don't have keywords or key phrases on them. And I don't really like to have people telling me what to see in a card. I want them to deliver me images and symbols and let me see what I see, not tell me what I should be seeing. That goes for guidebooks too. I often don't refer to guidebooks. Now, if I'm puzzled by a card or why an artist took a particular approach to a card, I do like to see them explain themselves in the guidebook. Often that's not the case. They don't often do that. But that's more the case of tarot, where it's a system that I am familiar with or have certain expectations of certain cards to be able to read properly with them. When it comes to oracle decks, I don't really get into guidebooks. Often it feels to me like if you're going to read a guidebook, you might as well just read a tarot book or a spirituality book. It's like, why do you need the cards? Because the card images should really do all the talking, I think. Number 5, favorite tarot spread. I only do a couple. I mean, I basically do open readings. So I'll do a 3-card spread or a 5-card spread, just, 3 cards or 5 cards in a row, and see how they interact with one another and how they read. Lately, I've developed my own spread if I want to spend more time than just a quick read or quick answer. And I call it the inverse pyramid, which you start off with any number of cards you want on the top row. Usually for me, it's 3 or 5. And then the next row down is 1 card less. And then below that, 1 card less, and so on, until all the cards distill into a single card at the base. And the way you read it is in pairs and triplets. So you read cards that are side by side, and you also read cards above and below in pairs, and you read triplets. So on the second row, the first card will be paired with each of the two cards above it and all three together. So in a 5-card row, you will end up with a 15-card reading, but it's almost more like a 45-card reading because you're not really reading single cards, you are reading pairings and triplets, and you can spend more time working on a spread like that than just a simple 3 or 5 card spread. So I enjoy that. I don't do it too often unless I'm bored or want to spend a lot more time with my cards. Number 6, preferred tarot system. Well, that would be the Rider-Waite-Smith system, because I like scenes that depict actions and sort of tell a story, and I like directions in cards and interactions between cards, and what people are doing in the cards. All those things help me with the system. Number 7, tarot rituals. I don't really have a ritual. I used to, when I was less certain of cards, I would hold the deck in one hand and knock on it 3 times and say, Pixie, please come help me. And it was sort of a way of feeling like there was a guiding person looking over my shoulder, helping me to focus on the right symbols in the cards and figure out how to read them properly. I don't really do that so much anymore. Number 9, how you use tarot, introspection or divination. It's weird because I like to say I don't really divine with cards. A lot of people are, fortune tellers or future predictors or claim to have some psychic abilities. I don't really feel like I have any of that. I go for introspection and guidance. Now, that doesn't mean that sometimes when I do that in a reading, certain synchronicities or coincidences pop up that make me wonder or feel if there isn't some divinatory nature or some predictive nature in the cards. But really I use it to sort of direct me in right action. Number 9, your significator card. My significator card is different than most. I'm not drawn to court cards, which are generally the significators. Mine is the 3 of Wands. It's an action card that's almost non-action. It's very considered and thoughtful. It's someone who has started their journey, continued on their journey, accomplished some things, and continues on a journey, because the journey is lifelong, but has paused momentarily to consider what is the next step. What does one want to do next, and how is the best means of accomplishing that? They are looking out on the future. Their back is to us, so we don't read an expression on the face to give us more history. We are in their past looking ahead like they are. They have a hold on one of the wands that sort of stands them in a place of security, and they are not about to jump blindly off a cliff like the Fool. They are very thoughtfully considering what's next and how best to go about it. And I pretty much feel like that every day. There's always something exciting or new out there with potential to approach, and I am always thinking, sometimes overthinking, about where to go and what to do next. Um, Number 10, most expensive tarot acquisition. That was a deck I bought on eBay. It was the Royal Fez Moroccan. I always get the, oops, excuse me, my alarm just went off. The Royal Fez Moroccan, I found it on eBay, and I had to look at the name because I always get it mixed up. The Royal Moroccan Fez, the Royal Fez Moroccan. This one is an interesting deck. It follows the Rider-Waite-Smith system. It has a certain style to the cards. It has bright colors that are sort of accents on black and white cards, really. And I really enjoy this deck. I spent, I believe, $180 online on eBay to get this long out of print and rare deck. Unicorn deck, hard to find. For me, this is a deck that I already have. It's the Little Monsters Tarot, but I have the second edition, which is large cards that are sort of difficult to handle for me. I don't really like thick cardstock. I don't like oversized cardstock. And I love the images on this in this deck. But the first edition, was a smaller deck. I don't remember if it was tarot sized or even smaller than that. And that edition is my unicorn deck. If any of you out there have it and want to sell it, get in touch with me. I absolutely love this deck, and I don't use it very often, and I would use it, I believe, a lot more if I had a comfortable size deck copy to handle. What lessons have you learned about tarot or by tarot or through tarot? I think I've learned that there's a lot to discover about oneself by sitting quietly with images. There's a thing about right brain versus left brain learning, and for me, it's evolving your intuition, learning how to relate to images and symbols and actions and things that you see all around you in the world. We don't walk down the street and see a book with text telling us what to do. We see interactions of other people or things, happening around us, and we learn or figure out what we're going to do next by what we witness. And I think the tarot is a very good guide for that, and also a good sort of private confidant to bounce ideas off of. Number 13, a dinner party. If you could invite one guest of honor and 2 additional guests, who would you invite? Well, this might be a struggle to make figure out which of the 3 is the guest of honor. But I think it would be fascinating to me to invite 3 inventors. And I think initially the one I'm most fascinated with is Nikola Tesla. The second one would be Leonardo da Vinci, which some might say, well, he should be the guest of honor because he came first. The third one would be Benjamin Franklin. So we have 3 inventors here, and I'd be very curious to hear not only about all their inventions, but their philosophies on life and their spirituality and how they relate their spirituality to science. I tend to approach religion or spirituality as a combination or a connection or an interaction between physics and metaphysics. So I think that would be an interesting dinner. It might go over my head with all the things they might have to discuss, but I think I would find it particularly fascinating. And that's where I'm at here and now with my guests. In the past, they've been Hollywood celebrities, comics, and so forth. It would be a fun, entertaining party, but this would be a more thoughtful, mentally challenging party, I think. And so, yeah, that's that. So, thanks for supplying this challenge, and thanks for tuning in and giving me your time to listen to my views or my approach to these questions. And I encourage all of you to pursue this as well. And I will see you all again very soon. Bye.